Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
My water bottle. Okay, fine. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Am I audible?
Yes, Prabhuji, loud and clear.
Okay, great. Hare Krishna. Okay. So I'll request our host him. Okay, finally. Because I couldn't see myself, so I was wondering what's going on. All right. Hare Krishna. Thank you all for joining in for today evening program. We'll start with prayers. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyatay Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So we welcome you all for the session in the series of Gita Wisdom. And today we'll be discussing on the second aspect of this subject of reincarnation. Is it fact or fiction? So what all we discussed yesterday, let's take a look quickly at it. We raised a question, is there any evidence for the existence of soul? So we presented the following evidences, particularly the first from the logic. We had discussed the common sense as well as the introspection, and today we're going to start our discussion from the aspect of science. Let's do a quick recap of what we saw yesterday in terms of common sense. The very first point we gave or we discussed was just like when a person is passed away or when he departs from this world, we say he has passed away. He has passed away. You know, Hindi में कहते हैं स्वर्गीय हो गए हैं. With full confidence, स्वर्गीय हो गए हैं. 110% they've gone to Swarg. So they say in that way. Second, what nourishes life? Generally we say it's air, water, food. But let us try to feed it to the dying man. Does it make him live further? Not at all. So that's Atma. Third, we say this is my hand, this is my hair, this is my eyes, this is my body. My body belongs to me. What belongs to me? How can I be that thing? It's a very, very common sense. Think about it. Proof for soul's existence. Another aspect of discussion was introspection. Can you show me soul? If somebody would ask you, we can ask that person, can you show me your mind or intelligence? We understand things from the symptoms. And in that, we had discussed about difference between robot and human and difference between living and non-living. And for today's discussion, we'll start our discussion now. Does science offers us any evidences about the existence of soul? This is from Medical Journal of Current Problems in Pediatrics, where they stated that 11 to 14% of patients who come in operation theater have experienced out-of-body experience. You look at the picture just right behind me, you can very well see what's in it in essence. So according to the journal, they say when a person is put under anesthesia and is literally like in a state of coma, he has no idea what's going around. And they found out when they made a study that many times patients come back to their consciousness after the effect of anesthesia is removed. And then the patient tells to the doctor, you know, how he performed the operation, how he saw the doctor operating on him. And it's very surprising. How can a patient know what's happening? Because he's in anesthesia. Even if he's not in anesthesia, if a doctor is operating on his belly or in his stomach, he's lying flat on the ground on the operation table. How can he still see? Similarly, there is enough research in the near-death experiences also with an impeccable evidences that proves the existence of soul. This is a comment by Dr. Michal Sabam, a cardiologist and professor at the following university. There are many, many examples of near-death experiences given in the scriptures and in the recent history. I'll quote one with the given time frame that we have. And I'll give you a little synopsis of another example, but not will go in details. So let's begin with the second one. This particular second case of near-death experience happened with a woman, a Christian woman living in Malaysia, if I'm correct. Malaysia, Thailand, if I'm correct. And she had a near-death experience. What is near-death experience? Where a person leaves his or her body, travels to the next destination, and then comes back. That is called as near-death experience. So this particular Christian lady went to the abode of Yamaraj, which she doesn't know definitely. But some people, after she narrated, made a video And when you watch this video, this is completely in a local Thai language. When you watch the video, those of you know how the abode of Yamaraj and what Garuda Puran explains about the journey of the soul to the next destination, before that halting into the abode of Yamaraj, you will see is exactly matching with the description of the woman, although being a Christian. Because anyways, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter to what religious faith you are affiliated with. Ultimately, there is one God. We are all living entities who have artificially created this issues or the problems. That's the point here. So that's the one thing. If some of you would be interested, I'll play that video, or if we have less time, I will upload that video on the student portal under today's episode, and you can watch it there. Now let's talk about a first case, a near-death experience where I had known that person directly. It's a story of Mr. Prakash from San Diego Temple, from San Diego, who lived near to San Diego ISKCON Temple. And Mrs. Prakash became a devotee of Lord Shri Krishna, started attending temple. Husband would also come along, but he would never would show interest. He would only come, honor prasadam, take darshan, and walk away. That's all. He would never hear, never change. One day he got a heart attack. He got admitted in a hospital. Mrs. Prakash called the temple president, who then was Mr. Badrinarayan or Badrinarayan Prabhu. Badrinarayan Prabhu, on receiving the call, went to meet Mr. Prakash at the hospital. But by the time he reached, Mr. Prakash went into the state of coma. And he lived like this for almost a month. So Mrs. Prakash requested Badrinarayan Prabhu to visit her husband at least once in a week and sit and read Bhagavad Gita, recite Bhagavad Gita, and chant the holy names of the Lord. Badrinarayan Prabhu, as a leader of the community, as a service to her, he went almost every week. After a month, Mr. Prakash came back to his consciousness, came out of the coma state. And as soon as he came out of the coma state, he immediately told his wife and the nurses around there, I want to talk to Badrinarayan Prabhu. I want to talk to Badrinarayan Prabhu. The wife was shocked. I mean, he had nothing to do with the devotees. And why is he calling for Badrinarayan Prabhu? He was too attached to his own family affairs. He's not asking for his son or daughter, not the wife. I want to meet Badrinarayan Prabhu. So wife called up Badrinarayan Prabhu, temple president then of San Diego Temple. Badrinarayan Prabhu was surprised himself. He came rushing to the hospital, to the ward where Mr. Prakash was lying. And as soon as Badrinarayan Prabhu entered the ward, this man who was lying on his hospital bed literally jumped off the bed and he said, Badrinarayan Prabhu, they came to meet me 4 times. They came to meet me 4 times. So Badrinarayan Prabhu thought maybe he's just come out of the state of shock. He's probably talking about that. Badrinarayan Prabhu, I remember that you came 4 times. You came every week. And so one month later, which is 4 times approximately. So Badrinarayan Prabhu said, yeah, I came 4 times. I came and chanted. I'm glad you remember. And then again he said, no, they came 4 times. They came 4 times. So the wife thought maybe he's talking about his family members. So she said, no, we had always been there. Who are you talking about? We came. And that time there was a nurse who was standing there. She said, actually, your husband almost died 4 times. We revived him. We saved him from the face of death 4 times. And again, this man said, Badrinarayan Prabhu, the ugly people, the ugly ones, they came 4 times. They came 4 times. And then Badrinarayan Prabhu understood, he's talking about the Yamdutas. And then Badrinarayan Prabhu asked him, are you speaking about Yamdutas? He said, yes, those ugly people with the twisted nose, red eyes, with the horns on their head, with the big unshiveled hairs all over the body, huge body, dark skinned. They were so scary. They wanted to take me away. And when they came for the first time, I told them, I am only dependent on Krishna's mercy. As soon as I took the name of Krishna, they went away. They came for the second time. Again, I said, you do whatever I want. I'm fully dependent on Krishna's mercy. They went away the second time. They came the third time. I said the same answer. They went again. And the 4th time, the beautiful ones came now. 4-headed, beautiful crown and a big garland on their neck, shining, effulgent. And then came these ugly faces also. So Badrinarayan Prabhu understood who are these beautiful ones. These are the Vishnu Dutas. So now this Mr. Prakash said, these ugly ones, when they came, Vishnu Dutas or these beautiful ones were also there. And when they saw the ugly ones, because he doesn't know Yamduta, Vishnuduta, he said, when the ugly ones saw the beautiful ones, they said or they exclaimed, oh, now you have come. So this man is beyond our jurisdiction. We cannot do anything to him, so we leave him. And then he said, as soon as they departed, I came out of the state of coma. And now, clasping the hand tightly of Badrinath Prabhu, this Mr. Prakash said, Prabhu, I promise, I am coming as soon as I get free from this or discharged from the hospital. I am coming straight to the temple. I am sitting and you are teaching me Bhagavad Gita. I am studying and I am taking to the chanting of the holy names of the Lord. And today, Mr. Prakash is an initiated devotee. He renders deity worship 7 days a week for the San Diego ISKCON temple. Just one example. Like that, there are many, many examples. So near-death experience and out-of-body experience are even recognized. I mean, these are the terminologies given by the science. Let's take a look at another evidences. Past life memories. Dr. Ian Stevenson have documented more than 2,500 cases. He has certified, verified, documented on the basis of the science, research, and analysis, not faith, with thorough evidence. And he has given a conclusion, yes, these are the cases of reincarnation. In India, there had been a doctor by the name of Satwant Pastricha. She had also done a lot of research and had proved several cases of reincarnation. In India, you can find many nonetheless, because people in general have knowledge of it. Let me give you one case study on which Dr. Ian Stevenson came to India to investigate a case, and he certified it to be a real case of reincarnation. Oh, Hare Krishna. Things are not moving on there? I'm moving ahead, but somehow things are not coming, right?
Yes, Prabhuji, we can see only the first slide only, that near death experience 11 to 14%. Yeah, now it's no.
Yes, it's coming.
Now it's coming.
Little hand. That's all right. Yeah. So, okay, you didn't all see the photo of the Dr. Ian Stevenson. So it looks like something fishy with this thing. Maybe you can sit with the chair there only. Yeah, it comes like this. Yeah, it has to be this way. Okay, great. It's working now. So this was Dr. Ian Stevenson. And this is Dr. Satwant, who I just spoke about. And I'll come to a case study. So you see this woman in the photo frame. Her name is or was, I don't know if she's alive now, Shukla Gupta. This is her case study is mentioned in the book published by Dr. Ian Stevenson. He explains and he writes, when she was 1.5 years old, she would hold the pillow in her hand like a mother holds a baby, and she would, do like this, the movements of the hands, just like a mother does with a small baby. And the very first thing she began to speak was not Mama, Papa, Pitashri, Matashri. No, the very first thing she began to speak was Minu. Everyone was confused. What is this Minu? Who is this Minu? Who is she talking about? And who is this Minu? Which they later on found out was the daughter of this girl in a previous life. So when she grew up to be 5 years old, when she became more conscious, then she began to see that I am not Shukla Gupta. My name is Mana Singh. And I had a daughter by the name of Minu. And my husband name is so-and-so, my father's, my parents, my village, and etc. She began to speak. She had the whole, past life memories coming back to her. So the husband, the mother and father of Shukla Gupta really got worried. I mean, it's scary, somebody talks about previous life suddenly. And imagine, it's very confusing and bewildering for that individual who's going through this experience. I guess in this forum I was speaking about, one of the students earlier, when I did this subject matter many years ago, she came to me and told me, Prabhu, I remember my past life. And when I asked her more about her past life, she said she was in a male body and now she's in a female body. Well, isn't it confusing? Am I supposed to act like a male? Am I supposed to act like a female? I mean, it's too difficult to understand this. And top of it, when you know that I have had some other parents and now you have some other parents, how do you build relationship? It's very difficult. So parents got really worried for Shukla Gupta. The father found out the village and the family. And one day, to surprise everyone, he called her husband of Mana Singh, and asked him to give a surprise visit to their house. As soon as the husband of Mana Singh came there, Immediately, the Shukla Gupta jumped up from her place and she said, "Oh, whatever the name of the husband was, oh, you have come. I had been waiting for you so long. Where is my daughter Meenu?" That man almost fainted. He never expected such a thing. A 5-year-old daughter, 5-year-old girl saying, "You are my husband," and all that. So like this, so finally one day, the father of Shukla and other members of the family decided to visit to that village just to certify more. And Dr. Ian Stevenson had also accompanied them. So they came to the station, got down onto the platform. Villages, now these days in cities, you have road signs or the signboards. Earlier, there were no signboards. So what to speak in village? In fact, outside the house, there is no address to whom it belongs. It's a simple village. So how do you find out the address? And this Shukla, 5-year-old girl, walks through the different pathways of the village and goes straight to the house which she said belonged to her in a previous life. And as soon as she reached at the house, she said, "Oh, the entry gate has changed." And when they entered, she recognized everyone in the family. Her in-laws, of course, she had already met her husband, her daughter, and whatever she knew or whatever which was only known to the husband and the wife or to the family members, she could easily identify. If someone from outside was telling her all this thing, how is it possible to know the private information? Shukla knew of this thing like that. So this is one of the case Ian Stevenson writes in his book. I have already shown you the case study of Chase Bowman or Mr. James yesterday at the beginning of the session. So yes, reincarnation is in fact accepted by the science. So here is my question to all of you. And I would this is for you to answer maybe today after the session, or else you can write to me later on. If you go on Evolve Pune website, there is a contact tab. If you go on the contact tab, from there you can send an email. There is a little form which will ask for your name, contact number, email address, and a message. If you click a message will come directly to me and I can reply to you over your email that way. So your answer, or the question for all of you is, science acknowledges there are evidences for it, scriptures acknowledges, doctors acknowledges, it's logical, it's realistic. Why our education does not acknowledge it? Why our education still talks about that we are just a bundle of chemicals? Why? What's the reason? Let it put other way around. What if everyone is taught the real science of Bhagavad Gita? By the way, this message is given in Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is found in Mahabharata, which they call as mythology. At once, this whole mythology, Aryan invasion theory, everything gets debunked. Just if you understand this. So my question is, what will happen if people are taught the science? What will happen to the whole corporate world? And what will happen to the other Abrahamic faiths who are centered only on the basis that there is no soul, there's only one life, you accept our God, and then you go and enjoy in heaven, or else suffer in the hell forever? So that's for you to think and write back to me later on if time permits. Let's take a look at some more evidences. Ian Stevenson says phobia comes from previous life. Different people have different phobias. Phobia means fear. Some have claustrophobic, fear of closed space. Some people have fear of heights. Some people have fear of water. I believe all of us would have some kind of a fear. Now, what is Ian Stevenson says, and in fact, this is mentioned in Gurupurana also in that context. Ian Stevenson says, well, I have studied so many cases where people have fear of things of which they have no experience in this life. For example, let's say you go to cook in the kitchen and accidentally you touch your finger to the fire. The next time onwards, you'll become very alert, isn't it? You'll be very conscious to be careful in the kitchen because you've already burnt your finger once. Now, somebody who has not fallen from a height, somebody who has not drowned in a water, what sense does it make for them to be scared of height or of water? So scripture says the reason for which they're scared is in some of their previous lifetime, they must have died because of that incident. Either jumped from the hill or drowned in an ocean or water. And that's the reason it created such a strong experience. It continues life after life and people experience this phobia. Another evidence that Ian Stevenson presents is about the birth of twins. The twins are born from the similar genetic, it's the same genetic code, it's the same cell or the egg. It has the same genetic material. According to the science, your bundle of chemicals where the building blocks are RNA, DNA. If it is same, then why there's difference in temperaments? Why people, even twins, have different likings and dislikings? And the only answer is because the person living within them is different. And that is, the driver of the vehicle is different. Just like different drivers, when they sit in a, let's say there are two Maruti Swift, same color. Of course, they're same brand. They look exactly alike, and you have two different drivers sitting in it. Aren't the way the vehicle will be driven on the road different? Isn't it? Depending on the style of the driving of the driver, the car will be driven on the road. So why twins are different? Ian Stevenson says because soul is present. Another claim that he makes is about uninherited, unacquired skills, where we also would know of some cases where kids are born prodigy. They have never, and nobody in their family or the whole dynasty have ever played musical instruments. Suddenly, a particular family have a child who becomes a great musician right in his childhood. Nobody taught him guitar, sitar, or some other instruments, and he begins to play on his own. So, from where did he got the skills? People in general foolishly become very proud. Oh, he's my son, he's so great, she's my daughter, she's so qualified, but they never wonder and ask, from where did they got this qualification? Who gave them? And the point is, it is said to be the soul, which is the skill set coming from the previous lifetime. So not that everything gets transferred, for some it happens, and that's what they have it. There are more than 100 books proving reincarnation today. Isn't that so surprising? Despite having so many evidences, yet reincarnation is considered a myth. People are not willing to accept, and it's not still taught in education system. So what are the proofs for soul existence according to science? Documented and verified cases of reincarnation. Phobia comes from past life, near-death experience, out-of-body experience, difference in temperament of twins, unacquired, uninherited skills. With this, we have discussed about the evidences of soul from the concept of logic and science, and now we come to scripture. Now, we have already given these verses and quoted these verses in the previous session yesterday, so I will not go into the details, but Krishna says, Arjuna, you are eternal. It is a body that takes birth, it is a body that dies, but you remain the same eternal being. The body which undergoes transformation from boyhood to youth, youth to old age, and then finally to death, but what remains consistent within it is the soul. That is what Krishna says here, like that. So now we come to a very interesting subject matter. And how do I do this subject matter is what I'm wondering right now. Okay, I would like to draw something and show you what is life and death, and tell you exactly what happens at death and who becomes ghostly beings, or what it means to be a ghost, preta, all those kind of living entities. So let me go through the presentation. Once I finish the presentation, then I'll start the whiteboard. So according to scriptures, we exist at 3 levels, not 2 levels. Science acknowledges or recognizes our existence as 2 levels. One is the physical level, and second is at the mental level. But scriptures identify or explains of our existence as 3 levels. Bhumirapo nalo vayu khammano buddhirevacha ankara ityamme bhinna prakritir ashtada. Earth, water, fire, air, ether. This forms the gross body. Manobuddhir ahankara, mind, intelligence, ahankara, false ego, makes the subtle body. So there are 3 types or 3 levels. One is a gross, made up of earth, water, fire, ether. Second is a subtle body made up of mind, intelligence, and false ego. And lastly, within all this, hidden is Atma, which is Sat, Chit, and Ananda. So gross body is made up of earth, water, fire, ether. Yes, the body, the skin, is nothing but the soil. Science says our body have more than 70% water, if I'm correct, right? A lot of water is there. Fire is there within the body. We are a walking microwave oven at 98-degree Fahrenheit. Fahrenheit, Celsius, whatever F and C, just alphabet. But the point is, yeah, 98-degree. We are a walking oven. And then air, we breathe in, breathe out. There is air. And there is ether. Ether refers to space that we have, isn't it? So the modern science also acknowledges, and they say, yes, But body is nothing but a bundle of chemicals. We have already discussed this yesterday. However, unfortunately, science knows only this much, not more than this. But scripture says there is more to it. Behind this gross body, there is a subtle body, and within this subtle body, hidden is the spiritual body. So, how does it looks like pictorically? We see the external body, this form, which we can see with our gross eyes. Within this gross body, there's a subtle body. We have an experience of mind, intelligence, and false ego, which is ahankar. We have an experience of it. We can't see it, but we have an experience. And then beyond this, within it is hidden what is called as soul, which is Sat, Chit, and Anand, which I will explain you little sometime. So with this, we come to a conclusion of a subject matter about reincarnation, fact or fiction, wherein we gave you the evidences, various proofs based on logic, based on science, and based on scriptures. Now we're going to take a little discussion on some frequently asked questions. So frequently asked questions on the soul. Some of you may have these questions. So I thought whatever we have been doing this, we have compiled a list of questions. So we thought we'll just speak out during the session, and then we can take some more questions if you have. So very first question, what happens to us at death? At the time of death or at death? We have already discussed this. Lord Shri Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Vashamsi jirnani yatha vihaya navani grahanati naroparani tatha sharirani vihaya jirnani anyani samyati navani dehi. Just like a person, he discards the old torn clothes and accepts a new piece of cloth. Krishna says at the time of death, a living entity gives up the old body and accepts the new body. And what happened after accepting new body? Krishna says in 15th chapter 9th verse, Shrotram chakshu sparshnam cha rashanam grahanam eva cha adhisthaya manaschayam vishayan upasevate. The living entity, thus taking another gross body, obtains a certain type of eyes, the ear, the eyes, the tongue, the nose, and the sense of touch. Depending on you have taken a birth in a human form or you have taken a birth as an animal, depending on which species you have taken a birth, accordingly you get ears, eyes, nose, tongue, and sense of touch. It is a soul which undergoes transmigration amongst 8.4 million species of life. What are these 8.4 million species of life? We'll be discussing soon in future sessions. And like this, soul continues on its journey of birth, death, old age, and disease in this material world, taking all kinds of living forms. So, next question. Is the soul in every body the same soul? That's the question here. Is the soul in every body the same soul? No, not at all. Krishna says about this in Bhagavad Gita, Na tuvevaham jatu nasham, which means, hey Arjuna, at no point of time I did not exist. Na tvam, and you, neme janadipa, and all the assembled warriors at the war of Kurukshetra did not existed at any time. In other words, they always existed. Na chaiva na bhavishyama, and they would continue to exist in the future also. Sarve vayam matha param, which means we all are unique living entities, part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. It's not the concept of one soul among all, but we are individual. We have our own individualities. We are unique creations of the Lord, and all of us are existing. And there are unlimited living entities existing in this creation. That's the point. Next, does the soul have a form? Poor bandwidth. It's poor bandwidth. It will affect the transmission. We can tell Vishwakaran. Does the soul have a form? People ask this question. Yes, the soul have a form. For example, imagine there's a cloth, there's a shirt or a pant lying on the floor. It doesn't have any form as long as it's on the floor, but when you pick it up and put it on your body, it gets a form, isn't it? Similarly, the body or the matter does not have form. The form is given to it by the soul in relation to the subtle body, because subtle body accepts a particular kind of a body and then it gets it is giving a poor bandwidth message. So what is the size of the soul is the next question many times people ask. So soul gives form, okay, soul has form. What is the size of the soul? Again, the scripture says the size of the soul is 1 by 10,000 of the tip of the hair. That is the size of the soul. And this soul or Atma is present in all the living entities. What is a living entity? Anything that undergoes 6 transformation is a living entity. Birth, growth, maintenance, byproducts, dwindle, and death. These are 6 stages of transformation. Whatever goes through is said to be living. How can we see the soul? Good. The question arises now, can we see the oil in the oil seeds? Yes or no? You cannot see, but there is a process through which you can extract. Can we see ghee in the milk? No, but there's a process by which we extract. Similarly, true for the sugarcane juice. We can, but through a procedure. So just like material science, different branches have different apparatus for different field of science, physics, chemistry, biology. Similarly, spiritual science have its own set of apparatus. What is this apparatus? Our aim right now, what is the aim? Our aim is to see the soul, correct? Is what our aim is. So what is the apparatus that we need to use to see the soul? Has to be a spiritual apparatus. What is a theory? A study of scriptures like Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, Ramayana, Mahabharata, others. What is a procedure? Procedure in spiritual science is said to be yoga. The procedure for self-realization or to know who we are is said to be yoga. Now, for different ages, there are different yoga practices are recommended. We'll discuss about all these different yoga practices in Bhagavad Gita or Gita Essence series, which will start right after the series. So for this Kali Yuga, for the present day and time, it is said, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama eva kevalam, Kalo nasta eva gatiranyata. In this age of Kali, there is no better and easiest method of self-realization, which means to know who am I, what is my relationship with the Supreme Lord, other than the chanting of the holy names of the Lord. If you feel and you like, you may repeat after me. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. When a person regularly takes to this process, takes to this procedure of mantra meditation, lives his life according to dharma, practices dharma, follows and studies scriptures, hears scriptures, then he will have the observation. And what is the observation? Then the person would get access to the realization of the soul. And then when a person has this realization, then he comes to a conclusion, yes, soul exists. So as I said before, in science and spirituality, both are based on faith, faith on axiomatic truth. In science, it can never be proven, but in spirituality, whatever is asked of us to put faith in can be proven by the practice of spirituality. Okay. Next question. On what basis the soul is awarded the next body? In other words, is a question I'm saying, how did you got this body that you have right now? Male, female, old, young, whatever you are, the male, female family. Krishna says about this in Bhagavad Gita. See, Bhagavad Gita is so profound, huh? Everything is given. That's the reason that it said Gita Upanishad. Krishna says, Yam yavapi smaran bhavam taya jate yante kalevaram tam tameveti kaunteya sadatad bhava bhavita. At the time of leaving your body, whatever you remember, accordingly you attain to the next state of life. Now, what you remember at the end of life is what you have done rest of your life. The kind of consciousness you have created by engaging in kind of activities is what predominantly you're going to remember at the end of life. In other words, what you're most attached to. is most probably you're going to remember at the end of life. And according to this verse, if somebody is attached to dog, what's going to happen to him in the next life? Anyone? You can type in the answer. According to this verse, what body is going to get in the next life? Okay. If anyone is too much caught up in Hindu-Muslim debate, and he's too much thinking about Muslims are this, Muslims are that, or the Christians are like this, or the Dalits are like this. Let's talk about Muslims for a reason. Hindu-Muslim conflict. Too much is thinking about Muslims. The next life, what's going to happen to him? He'll be born into a Muslim family. And then he'll be saying, Hindus are like this, Hindus are like this. And that's what's going to happen in the next life. He's going to take birth again in Hindu family. Again, he will say, Muslims are like this, Muslims are like this. It's like a monkey jumping from one branch to another branch. So that is what happens. Isn't that a little humorous in the way we kind of waste our human form of life? So just a little homework. I hope all of you would have received your copy of Bhagavad Gita, gift copy which was given to all the participants of this program, or else you might have a copy of Bhagavad Gita, or else it may be in transit, you might be getting soon. So please mark your homework. Please read second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, verse number 11 to verse number 11 to 28. There at length, Krishna elaborates the qualities and the features of the soul. Let's come to the next question. What is the difference in body and soul? That's the seventh FAQ for us today. Body is matter, right? It's a gross matter. What about the soul? It's a spirit. Body is not conscious. Matter is not conscious. Consciousness comes from the soul. Body, which is made up of matter, keeps on undergoing changes. Soul is unchangeable, no changes. Body is temporary. Na jayate mriyate va kadachin. That was, and Krishna says, soul is eternal. Body is always dead. What gives us life is the soul. With this, we come to the conclusion of our discussion. Just concluding points from some famous personalities on reincarnation. At least this is one of my favorite quotes, where C.S. Lewis was a British academician and a philosopher. And he said, you don't have a soul. You are a soul and you have a body. Very interesting, huh? You don't say that you have a soul. No, you are a soul possessing a body. Socrates, a great Greek philosopher, had many great disciples, Aristotle, and down the line, other great physicians and mathematicians. Socrates believed in the existence of the soul, and for that, he was hanged to death. Not hanged to death, he was given a poison. So when his death sentence was announced, and only a day was remaining, according to the tradition at that point of time, the king would send a messenger to the person who was about to be killed to ask for his last wish. So here, the person who was going to give him a poison came to him and said, Socrates, there's only some time, very few hours are remaining for you to die. So any last wish? Our king is very kind to you and he wants to fulfill any of your last wish. And Socrates said, whose death are you talking about? You're talking about my death? First, you should catch me. Then only you can kill me. Isn't that so profound? And the person was dumbfounded. He's there right in front of him, chained on the chair, and he's saying, Socrates with full confidence saying, first you catch me, then only you can kill me. There was a very famous Russian scientist by the name of Giglio. And Giglio said, he was a doctor, he said, you can very easily see in the eyes of a dying man how there is an energy, there is a light in a living person, and how that light, that energy disappears and gradually diminishes and finally goes away when the person dies. This is his experience, his words. What it proves, that actually the soul exists. Ahead, there are a few other quotations, Benjamin Franklin, and so forth. This is, you'll all find in the PPT. I'm just skipping it out. So to come to the conclusion, despite so much evidence and proof that we have given so far, let me ask this question to all of you. Do you now believe soul exists? Yes or no, or you still have doubt? You may say answer yes, no, maybe. maybe means not sure. Or you can say, yes, Prabhu, evidences are enough. I believe it. I may not know it, but I believe it because there's plenty of evidences. So I'll wait for all of you to reply. I could have created a poll. That would have been easy, but let's see. If you all reply, I see Pooja replying, Vandana, Sonam, Anup. Okay, Shirak says. Okay. So far I don't see anyone saying maybe, maybe not. Okay, fine. So despite so much evidences, to consider ourselves a mere machine is unscientific and condemnable, as we are restricting one's growth on the spiritual path. If you look around in the world today, everyone is very health conscious. However, these efforts are usually focused only on physical well-being. Yes or no? When a person travels in train, he's so conscious of only taking a Bisleri water. Nobody, I believe, among all of us would dare to get down on a station and drink the tap water. Yes or no? None of us would dare to do so. So all the time, people are very conscious about their physical well-being, how I look, what I eat. Am I eating too much sweet? Am I going too fat, too slim, and whatnot? But we really focus enough on our emotional and mental health. And most importantly, on our spiritual well-being, we hardly focus. In other words, nourishing our soul is arguably the most important agenda we ought to be attending in the human form of life, because a human form of life alone gives this privilege to us, where we can ask, who am I and what is the ultimate goal of life? To conclude with, you know, the body that you see in the mirror, your Atma, the real driver of the bodily car. So, in essence, in this topic, we discuss who am I, the proof of soul's existence, gross and subtle coverings of the body, and some FAQs like what happens after death, how does one acquire a new body, how can I see soul, and some other FAQs. So, when we meet tomorrow, we'll be beginning our discussion on yet another. I personally feel this is another very, very interesting and important topic, at least for all the Hindus, where they are always confused about, you know, who are these gods, for God's sake? Which God should I worship? You know, the 33 crore devatas, what is the meaning of all this? Who are Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh? Who is Durga? Who is Saraswati? Who is Lakshmi? Who is Parvati? Who are these? What are these personalities? Now, Bhagwan to exist karte hain, God exists, that has been proven. Now, question is, who are these personalities and what is their relationship with each other? And another very important subject, if God is one, then why there are so many religions? Because most of the terror today or the crisis in the world today can be credited to the man-made religion, which are like political parties. They keep on canvassing people to justify their agenda, and that's the reason the whole idea of conversion happens, just to convert people, make them their party followers. That's what the modern day religion is all about. With that, we come to the conclusion for today. I do have one small topic to make a point here, where I'll be requesting to allow me to enable my whiteboard. We can have Abhishek here. I'll enable the whiteboards and I'll draw a little diagram to help you understand what is his life and death. So I was making this point in our Hindi program today, just an hour before we meet you. There's a Hindi program. And I was telling them that today morning I was thinking, what should we do for all of you after Gita Jayanti? And then a thought came to my mind that, you know, it's the best time for us or for me to discuss on the subject matter, which is very, very interesting subject matter, where I have a series of talk titled as Mind Management, based on the subject matter of Bhagavad Gita, the modern psychology. So on the occasion of New Year 2021, I'm thinking when we meet, we'll discuss that. Today, I'll give you just a brief synopsis of what we discuss in that subject matter, in context of what we are discussing here. So just give me a quick second. Let me get my system ready. And, oh, I need to open my whiteboard. It is opening. So is my whiteboard visible now?
Not yet, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Not
Hare.
yet, Prabhuji.
Okay. आ गया. Okay. Okay, don't look at all this thing. These are my notes from writings from some other sessions. Please bear with me. Let me just come to this new area of the whiteboard. Oops, what happened to my whiteboard? Yeah, here it is. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So, yeah. Prabhu, you have to stay on the, yeah, so that'll come that way. So I'm giving a disclaimer up front. I am not a good artist, particularly not on the computer at all. So don't tell me, बड़े ही गंदे artist हैं Prabhu जी. आप straight लिख भी नहीं सकते. Okay, I'm going to draw something here. I'm just making a small attempt. So let me just see if it's visible or not. Is it all good? Is it all clear?
Yes,
Do I need to
Prabhuji.
write bigger? Okay, great. Okay, great. So according to spirituality, we exist at three level model. So let me draw three boxes. The first is gross body. Second level is subtle body. And third is soul. We already saw Bhagavad Gita explains that this gross body is made up of earth, water, fire, air, and ether. Correct? We discussed that already. Subtle body, Krishna explains, is made up of mind, intelligence, and false ego. And when it comes to soul, it is Sat, Chit, Anand. Sat means eternity, Chit means knowledge, Ananda means bliss. Now, how do I prove you that actually soul has this symptoms or need or this characteristics of Sat, Chit, and Anand? Very simple example. There is nobody who wants to die. Everyone wants to live longer, isn't it? From where does this need of living forever arises from? Because that's the need of the soul. Now, Chit means knowledge. What does knowledge mean? Actually, everyone wants to constantly acquire knowledge. And you will say, no, I don't want to. I've done with my engineering enough. One nightmare is enough. I don't want to have continued nightmares, education. What it means is of curiosity, right? This whole news media or your social media platform, where people share in their information, their photos, and people liking, disliking is what? Curiosity. What's going in the world? That refers to Chit. That is the need of the soul. Ananda, and who doesn't want Ananda, bliss? From where does this need arises? These are the needs of the soul. That's the point. So now, I guess now there's nothing, any more evidence is needed for all of you. So these are the symptoms. So we are indeed soul. So now question is, soul is spiritual. What we are dealing is an entirely spiritual thing. So how does the spiritual interacts with the gross matter? This is material. These are anti-elements. They have no relationship with each other. So how does the relation happen? Imagine there is a river and you are at this side of the river and you want to cross the river and come on this side of the river. How can you do so? If there is a bridge built, you can easily go through the bridge, right? There's a means of it. Similarly, there has to be something which allows us to connect with the matter. So for that, you can say we have this subtle body, which creates this connection between the body, between the soul and the gross body. This is just a synopsis. We go into great details of this discussion in the mind management program. Just because the subject was there, I'm just telling you a little bit about it. In that program, we're going to talk about how does mind function, how does mind interacts with intelligence, how their interactions happen, how do they interact with the gross body, and how does a gross body acquire with these sense objects, which all, the Sankhya Yoga is described. We'll do that. So, soul is the hub of desires. Where does the desire take birth? At soul level. But by the time desire comes to the body level, they're not all pure. Some may be pure desires, but not all the desires are pure, right? There is a saintly person who has all his desires pure, where he wants to do good for the society, correct? Similarly, there is another person who's criminal minded who wants to destroy the lives of others, like let's say terrorists. Now, in both of them, there is a soul. Soul is Satchidananda. Soul is all pure. So how does the pure desire, there should be a pure desire originating here. How does that pure desire, by the time it reaches here, becomes contaminated? What's the reason for it? Is this bridge, what is called as mind. Mind have 6 diseases. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Matsarya. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mad. Mad is pride. Oops. And there are 6 enemies of the mind. So when the desire travels through where mind is an interface, mind is a connecting interface between the soul and the gross body, because mind is contaminated with these 6 anarthas. The desires, when they reach at the body level, they all becomes contaminated. To give you a very simple example, the water in the rain cloud is all pure. Krishna have created a system that where the sea water gets filtered and becomes a drinkable water, which is carried by the rain cloud. However, by the time this rainwater falls on the ground, becomes contaminated because of the weather in between, right? Because of the pollution in the between, it all becomes contaminated. Similarly, our pure desires of the soul, because of the mind being contaminated, becomes contaminated. Anyways, this is just to brief you. Now, what's the main subject? What is called as death? What is death? What happens at death? Let me put it this way. At the time of death, this connection is broken. When this connection is broken, then what remains behind is subtle body and the soul. This subtle body, this subtle body moves from here, and according to the decision of Yamraj based on one's own karma, acquires or enters another body. Now, this body could be of dog, hog, camel, or a human. 8.4 million species, or maybe a seed. It could be anything. And when this life enters this, then you see the 6 changes that we described. 6 changes: birth, growth, then the body begins to grow. This is the whole idea about it. Now, the second point, what is a ghost? Who becomes a ghost? I believe I spoke about yesterday. There are 3 conditions which is mentioned in Garud Puran, who becomes ghost. Garud ji asks this question to Vishnu, and Vishnu replies, and Vishnu says, one who have met untimely death due to accident. First. Second, suicides. And third, improper or incomplete final rites. So who is this ghost? What it looks like? It only has two-level existence. Subtle body, which is accompanying the soul. And now the soul is a hub of desire. Soul have all the desires to get fulfilled, but the subtle body does not have the interface to get his desires fulfilled. And when this subtle body is not awarded a gross body, it becomes very much tormented. It's just like you're put into a cave for 6 months without water, air, food. You'll be so much troubled. Like this, now this body becomes very much agitated because one part of the body is mind. It is mind which becomes disturbed. The mind becomes very disturbed. So even somebody who loved you when he was alive, I'll say this, I'm not saying this, Vishnu says in Garuda Puran, Vishnu says, the one when a person was alive, he could love you, he could be your lover, he could be your mother and father and whatnot. But once they give up their body, now that sense of relationship does not remain that much. But the sense of attachment is there. But because this is tormented, so they come back and causes trouble to their family. And this, I'm not going to go into details of it right now, but Garuda Puran Vishnu mentions what kind of troubles manifest, which indicates the presence of preta, or the cause is the preta, like that. And that's where the family members get tormented. They will have nightmares. They would feel being haunted. They would see the presence of some beings and all that. I knew a person whose karma was so interesting that God knows only what he did in the previous life. That there was a ghostly being from his childhood. Almost every night would come and give him a tight slap on his face. So now he grew up, he went into a college, and he showed interest in spiritual life, because of which he got some courage to deal with the situation. So when I met him, he told me one day his situation became so worse that he would not fall asleep only, because he knew, again, I'm going to get beaten up. So one day he was sleeping and suddenly he got a tight slap on his face and he got up. And this time he saw the ghostly spirit. And this time he got up and he wanted to chase after him to ask him, who is he? Why is he troubling? And he said, as soon as I got up, I got stunned. I just got stupefied on my place. I said, why? What happened? He said, I saw this person. And when this person saw me awake and I can see him, he realized, he immediately turned around and he disappeared from the wall. He just walked straight from the wall. Just a subtle body. The matter cannot impede their movement. Anyways, I don't want to scare you all out with such kind of stories, but that's a fact. So this is what is called as ghostly beings. These are the reasons. This is what happens. I guess I've discussed some of the concept related to the subject matter. This is a little out of syllabus subject I'm discussing right now. So, all right. I guess I'll pause here. If anyone would have questions, we'll take it that way. So, can we have the gallery view so I can see who all are present also? So, Hare Krishna. We pause here. Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai. Prabhuji, we have one question from YouTube. So I'm going to take that first from Tarun Rathorji.
Yeah, I'll take a question. Let me ask a question to all of you. Those of you online, if you may feel like, you can switch on your camera. And I just want to know, are you understanding what I'm saying? If yes, give me a thumbs up. And if you say, Prabhuji, sab hawa se ja raha hai, sab sir ke upar se ja raha hai, then don't blame me. Probably there is some internet connection at your side. You couldn't hear me properly. All right. Okay, great. Yes, let's go with the question. Oh, Sai Sasu give me double thumbs up. Great. I'm encouraged now. Thank you, Sai. Yeah, let's go with the question now.
Yes, Prabhuji. So Tarun Rathorji from YouTube, he has asked one question, that the number of soul is constant, or they can be increased or decreased.
Or increasing.
It's constant, then why population is increasing?
Oh, why population is increasing? Tarun, if you're listening me still online on YouTube, here is my question to you. How many living entities are there right now in the room in which you are living in? And let me put this question to all of you who are listening to me on Zoom. So how many of you, how many living entities are there right now in your room? Please type in in this box. Pooja says can't count. Harsha says unlimited. Shirang says 4. What, you counted your family members, Shirang? Your younger brother, your mother, father? Gania says so many. See, even within the small room, there are unlimited living entities, isn't it? So what to speak of the universe is unlimited. That's the answer, Tarun. So your question about population, well, the population is increasing because people are not going back to Godhead. That's the reason the population is increasing. The humans have become so attached to their life in this world, they have decided to stay and suffer in this, material world. So generally, human, the animal would turn into a human, and then human will go back to Godhead. Now the humans are not going back to Godhead. They have forgotten the aim of their life, so they continue to take their birth in human form of life. That's the reason population is increasing. So ISKCON is very important to decrease the population. Sorry, don't misunderstand me. What I meant to say is the education is needed. When people get educated that we need to go back to Godhead, automatically population will reduce. That's the point. Okay. Anything else?
Prabhuji, there is question from Vinayak ji. He is asking that in the Preta body, which is the subtle and soul, that time also super soul is going to reside or not? Paramatma will not be there?
Baba, if Paramatma leaves you, you have no existence. Your very existence is on the foundation of Paramatma. All right? Paramatma, if Paramatma have to leave, you become like a spark separated from the fire. As soon as a spark gets separated from the wire, it gets extinguished. So it never happens. Can you imagine what a tough job for a Paramatma? And people in this world are fighting to become Paramatma, which means the Lord. Be happy what you are. There is nothing, the most glorious thing in the life is to be a follower, not to be a leader. You don't know what it means to be a leader. Those who are in those responsibilities, you should ask them what it means to be a leader. Being a follower is a tension-free life. Be happy we are in the role of a jiva only. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, Srirang wants to ask one question. So shall I unmute him?
Yeah, Srirang can go ahead, unmute.
Yeah, Srirang, you can unmute. Yeah.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I wanted to ask that it is written that the soul does not get damaged by anything. So if means we do any pap karma, then what gets suffered? Soul only, no? So how the damage can go to him?
There's a beautiful verse in Ishopanishad, text 3. Asuryanam te lokha andhena tamasavrata tamste pratyabhigachanti yeke cha atmahano janaha. Ishopanishad, 17 verses. This text is found in Yajurved. And this verse says, Andhena, asuryanamate loka andhena tamasavrataha. Tamste pretyabhigachanti. Pretyabhigachanti is to send or goes. Who goes? Where? To the loka which are known for asuras. The inhabitants of those lokas are asuras. Asuranamate loka. And what is the situation in that loka? Andhena tamasavrata, full of ignorance and full of darkness, which means it's a place of suffering, utter suffering. And people are sent to that place. Who is sent to that place? Yeke cha atmahano jana. Hana means one who harms, who tries to kill. The killer of the soul, the one who acts as a killer of the soul, is sent to this place. So what does it mean of the killer of the soul? Before I speak about what is killer of the soul, let us understand what is violence. This is not violence, somebody slaps you. Far greater than this violence because this body is anyways going to get destroyed. So Srila Prabhupada in second chapter, first verse of Bhagavad Gita gives a very beautiful definition of violence and compassion. Violence means is to prevent a living entity from attaining the goal of human form of life, which means to prevent a living entity or human being from attaining back to Godhead, his spiritual elevation, that is said to be violence. So what is the meaning of killer of the soul? Killer of the soul refers to a person who is self-abusive, who does not understand what is the goal of life, and he acts as a miscreant. He engages himself in sinful activities. As a result of those sinful activities, that person is sent out to the hellish conditions of life. That is what it means. So when a person goes to such hellish conditions of life, he's been awarded a particular kind of a body which can undergo the punishments which are given on that planet. That is how Yamaraji awards body for the living entities who are meant to suffer in different hellish planets. So soul does not undergo, in one sense, any experience. But the biggest suffering for the soul is the separation from his beloved, from his eternal relationship from the Lord. The soul, you can say, is in the coma state, being carried away from one body to another, and is completely forgetful of his relationship. And the soul is observing what all is going on around him and has no idea how to come out of it unless Brahmande Brahmite Kone Bhagyavan Jiva Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Bija. A living entity wanders into this whole creation in different life forms. Brahmande Brahmite Kone Bhagyavan Jiva. So who is the Bhagyavan? Who is the most fortunate? Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Bij. One who gets the auspicious association of a guru who imparts a seed of loving devotional service in the heart of that jiva and makes his life the fortunate one. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, we have a similar questions posted by Harshji and Akriti also. And the question is like, is there any process by which ghosts also get liberation, or they can also go to Golok Vrindavan, or they can also emerge into Krishna consciousness?
There are many stories about it. I'm just trying to recall one or two incidents from the Puranas where through the association of the chanting of the holy name, just being in the association or in the environment where the Harinam Sankirtan is being chanted, the living entity got delivered. So it doesn't matter you're a ghost, preta, what. Anyone can get liberated if it comes in contact with the chanting and the glorification of the Lord. So not an exact name and the example coming to my mind. Few stories are running through my head right now. Okay, yeah. So anyways, there are stories of it. Yes, the ghost can also get liberated. Anyways, the ghost condition is a temporary condition. It's not an eternal damnation. When his tenure is over, then he's again awarded the body. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So related to this, I have a question. So is it possible that maybe their relatives or kids can do something on their behalf? Maybe can I chant on behalf of my ancestors, and
Oh
or can I
yes.
do something for them?
Oh yes. Oh yes. Definitely makes a lot of difference. Like Shraddha ceremony, generally in Shraddha ceremony, we offer the food first to Vishnu, and then we offer it to our ancestors through the means of Brahmanas and the crows, who accepts on behalf of the ancestors. So on such occasions, when we chant the holy names of the Lord and we dedicate the result of the chanting for their cause, and when we offer Krishna Prasadam to them as an offering, they get liberated also. If not liberated, they get a very great opportunity to practice devotional life in their next life or in their next destination, wherever they are.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, there is one question by Raman Grover ji, and he's saying that when we are busy in our day-to-day mundane activities, then we are not able to sense anything. We are just able to sense ourselves, our body. But if we sit in a calm place or in a silent place or maybe in a meditative mood, then we are able to understand all these things. So, how to cultivate such mood?
Raman, unmute yourself if you can.
Hare Krishna Raman Prabhuji. I hope I have clearly asked your question. Okay, I'll unmute you. I'll unmute you. Yes, Prabhuji, you can speak.
Thank you,
Raman
Mataji,
Prabhu.
for unmuting me, first of all.
Okay. Where do you live?
Prabhuji, I live in Delhi.
Okay, okay.
So, Prabhuji, I would rephrase my question. In fact, Mataji brilliantly shared my question. My exact question is when we are engaged in daily activities or when we are in a stressful situation, we are never able to feel or sense the soul within ourselves. But during the moments of silence, we can feel or sense it. What's the reason?
Well, the reason is your mind is so disturbed and preoccupied. As I
Mm-hmm.
said during the presentation today, and we'll speak at length in mind management program, but it's all about the state of your mind. If mind is disturbed and agitated, then how would it allow you to have a direct communion or the communication with your soul, isn't it?
Yes, Prabhuji.
That's the whole thing. So the whole idea of yoga, meditation, and practice is to free the mind from all the clutters.
Mm-hmm.
When mind becomes freed from clutter and then you practice, then you can experience a direct connection, the opportunity of direct connection with the higher powers. So the greatest challenge in this life is to free the mind from the clutter. So for that, this whole yoga processes are described. Ashtang yoga, where people practice hatha yoga, yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, samadhi. They do all the stages. Of course, it happens gradually, not overnight. The whole idea of doing, sitting in asana and doing pranayama is to gain control on the senses and mind. Now the point is, to give you a simple example, imagine you have a glass of water, transparent water, clear water. You add a drop of ink into it. Now it becomes translucent, contaminated, isn't it? Now,
Yes.
how do you free the contamination from this? You keep on adding fresh water, fresh water, fresh water. When you do it, all the existing water spills out, and now you have a fresh water, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Yes.
once you got a fresh water, now you should not add a drop of ink to contaminate it again.
Right, Prabhuji.
Then it doesn't make sense. So similarly, this Ashtanga Yoga and Jnana Yoga marg is not to be followed by city dwellers. It's not the path of practice that can be done by people living a city life, who are working, who are having a husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, or various responsibilities. Because the more you come back in touch with your material life and duties, it's like adding contamination. So for these paths, which are not recommended for Kali Yuga, it's just not possible. But for these paths of Jnana Yoga and Ashtanga Yoga, chapter 6 of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna mentions, the person has to leave, take sannyas, and go to the deep forest, where he lives on by himself, nothing else around. And he sustains himself with whatever the nature provides. And then he practices these things to freeze one's mind from clutter. So neither you can do that, nor we can do this. What do we do? Then Krishna says, hey Arjuna, that's the reason I say, Yoginam api sarvesham madgatenantaratmanam shraddhavam bhajate yomam same yuktatamo mataha. Among all the yogis, the most dear yogi is one who always engages in my devotional service. How? With shraddha, with faith. How faith comes? Through the process of what we are doing right now, through hearing about Krishna, through reading Bhagavad Gita. And that Shraddha inspires us to take through the process of serving and remembering Krishna. And how do we serve and remember Krishna? We serve Krishna through two means. Nectar of Devotion, Srila Rupa Goswami says, अथा श्री कृष्ण नामादि ना भवेद ग्राह्यम इंद्रिये सेवन मुखा hi jivvato swayam eva spurati yadaha. With the gross senses, we cannot perceive the form and the pastimes and the names of the Lord. However, sevan mukha hi jivado, when we engage ourselves in seva, how do we engage ourselves in seva? Through our tongue. Jiva means tongue. Sevan mukha hi jivado swayam eva spurati adaha. Spurti. Immediately we get a realization within our heart. Now, how do we engage our tongue? Tongue has two functions: to chatter, to vibrate, to talk, and to taste. So it is described that we should use the chattering function of our tongue to chatter Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, and to glorify the Lord, to speak about the subject matter of Bhagavad Gita and others. And second function of tongue, to eat, only eat Krishna Prasadam. This is how we engage ourselves in seva. And of course, there are other forms of seva also. To begin with, at least let's focus on this as a starting verse for us. So that's what Krishna says. Through the process of service, you become very dear to me. And when you become dear to Krishna, Krishna provides everything else what is needed for our sustenance, well-being, and also gives us a return ticket with a permanent visa, sanctioned without going to the visa office. One-way ticket, no return ticket, with Goloka Airlines, with the special air hostesses, four-handed, with a beautiful crown and Vajanti Mala and beautiful effulgent body, and with a genuine smile, not a fake smile with the air hostess make. They don't make a smile because they are paid for it. Right. Okay, Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. And Prabhuji, I have one more question. Sometimes what happens when we, meditate or do some yoga, we may not feel the sense of soul, but sometimes on random basis we can feel the soul. So is it like that the soul have established a good friendship with our mind, brain and senses?
No, that is called as hallucination.
Okay.
Let me give you an example. When Srila Prabhupada was there in the early days in America, so one young girl, a hippie, 16 or 17-year-old girl, came to Srila Prabhupada and she said, Swamiji, what an incredible Hare Krishna Mahamantra you have given us. When I chant this Hare Krishna Mahamantra, I see all different kinds of colors. When I close my eyes and chant, I see all different kinds of colors. I am experiencing Goloka. Swamiji, thank you so much. And Prabhupada said, don't worry. Continue chanting, all the colors will go away. Right? See, Prabhu, it is not so easy to access and go beyond the grass and the subtle coverings unless we are blessed by our seniors, Guru, Gauranga, and the Lord. We cannot tap onto it because it's an energy of the Lord. You cannot access it. Okay? So in simple words, it's called as hallucination. I mean, for you, you could be having an access, but in general, I'm making a point. All right? Don't mind.
Yes, Prabhuji, I have noted your observation.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
All right.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, there are few more questions are there. So shall we take it ahead or?
Okay. If there are grown-up people, then we can take it. For kids, all the kids have my number. They can always message.
So there are 3 questions from the adults only. Can we change, so Aarti ji is asking, can we change the sanskar imprinted on our soul from the previous life?
There is nothing imprinted on the soul. Soul is always pure. Where it is imprinted is in your mind, which is subtle body. Yes, you can always change your samskaras. Always.
And Prabhuji, there is one question from Kalpana ji that so she really wants to know that what is the time gap, like how much time gap will be there that after that soul is going to get another body. So it's immediately or 11 days, 13 days, 1 month, what is the time?
Actually, there are different opinions. What had happened, Garud Puran originally had 19,000 verses. Unfortunately, we only have 8,000 verses remaining today. So because of the loss of knowledge, there are different opinions on the subject matter, and at least I am no an expert on the subject matter of life and death. My knowledge is primarily focused and based on what Srila Prabhupada have given in Bhagavad Gita, and definitely whatever I have read a little bit about of Garuda Puran. But as I said, we cannot consider whatever exactly given in Garuda Puran to be factual, because half of the verses are lost, and then half of the verses there had been some editing or not, we don't know. So it's not very clear. There are different set of opinions. One opinion is 24 hours. Another opinion is 13 days. Like you've heard of Tervi, right? The whole idea of Tervi and all that. Until that, the soul is still there. That's the reason for next 13 days we read Garuda Puran. And, in many parts of India, in Hindu traditions, we do that way. So there are different opinions about it. I guess more important than the time, what is more important for you and I is the destination. Ultimately, you and I are going to get the destination of a dog, hog, or a God. God means go back to Godhead. So I guess let us redefine the purpose of life. My dear Lord, if I do not get 4 hands, at least let me not have 4 legs. You got the point. 4 hands means Vishnu Duta. If for some reason I don't come back to Godhead in this lifetime, but at least let me not glide down to the 4-legged animal. Let me take another human birth where I have another opportunity. So that could be our little prayer. Okay.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, there is one question from the YouTube user, Tarun Rathorji, and he wants to know that does life exist beyond Earth also? That means there is a life in other planets. So there are planets which are beyond our imagination.
There was a frog who lived in a well, a small well. And a friend of his, this frog, came from an ocean to visit this frog living in a well. And this frog in a well who claimed himself to be a Dr. Frog, a big scientist. So when this another frog came from an ocean, he came and gave him the knowledge that, there's such a big creation in the world outside. I come from a place where there is a huge, unending water body. And this Dr. Frog, living in a small well, would not believe. No, 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 no. This is the only water body. This is the only area. It doesn't exist. Unfortunately, our condition today, with whatever environment we have grown up, with whatever education we have got, has become like this of Dr. Frog. We are proud and puffed up thinking that what I know, what I have seen in the Hollywood, Bollywood movies, what I've read in the science fiction, or whatever has been taught to me in physics, chemistry books, is what the whole creation all about. I'm so sorry to say that's not the fact. You have to realign and reframe your source of knowledge to Vedic scriptures to get to know what it's all about. The Vedic scriptures clearly states there are unlimited planets in this creation, and every planet has life. And why do you doubt? Let me put a very simple logical point to you. Have you seen life on land? Yes. Have you seen life on air? Yes, the birds. Have you seen life in the ocean? Yes, the fishes. Why do you find it so difficult? There wouldn't be a life in fire. The humans cannot live in water. Does it mean there cannot be any life on sun planet because you and I cannot live? We have to grow up, grow in our understanding. I would recommend strongly, please stay tuned to these sessions. Do join us for the next series, Gita Essence, where we'll do the overview. I believe you will learn a lot about life within this short span of 1 month. And that's my request. What else can I say? Yes.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So there are no more questions, but I can see some hands are raised. So Akriti has raised her hand, and Vandana ji has also raised her hand. So shall I unmute them?
Did those who had asked you a question yesterday, I responded to them today. Did they all got the answers?
Yes, Prabhuji, I have shared.
Okay, great. Okay, yeah, please go ahead.
Yes, Akriti, you can unmute yourself.
Hare Krishna, sorry.
Who is speaking?
So, Prabhuji, Akriti speaking. Sorry, it's by my mother's name, but my name is Akriti.
Okay. Yes.
I had 2 questions. One was, how does it matter how the life? So you, in the end, you spoke about ghosts and how they come about, and one of the facets you mentioned was that it depends if the last rites are not performed correctly. But if the soul leaves the body as soon as you die, how does it matter how the last rites are performed?
Brilliant. Let's go one by one.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, a brilliant question. I'm glad you're hearing attentively. To give you a simple example, imagine you're living in a rented house for 30 years of your life. It's quite probable you would take it as your own house, right? You'll get it renovated many times over the span of your stay there. And after 30 years, suddenly you're given an exit notice. You have to evict the house. What do you think? Would it be painful? Yes or no? For 30 years you have lived. You're attached to it. We become attached to small things. What is we got spending 30 years? Imagine now somebody have lived in a rented body for 80 years. Right? Body is a rented house. It doesn't belong to us. We lived for 80 years and suddenly you're given an eviction notice. It's very difficult for the subtle body to give up the association of the body. So unless the final rites are performed properly, particularly the burning rites, the cremation rites are performed properly, the subtle body does not leave. It keeps on hovering around. It keeps on bouncing back to that place again and again. That's the reason in Vedic Sanskriti, the body has to be cremated as soon as possible to let the soul go off to the next destination, which means the subtle body go off to the next destination. That's the point here.
Hare Krishna, Vanna Mataji, would you like to ask? Vanna ji?
I guess Akirti had one more question, right?
Yes, Prabhuji. So my question was, so what kind of karma made us reach a space wherein we were able to engage ourselves in the Krishna conscious movement?
Oh, that karma is right now. You're already in the association of Mother Dipasha. Stay in an association. The Krishna conscious life will begin. Your good karma have already brought you in the right forum. You're already getting to hear from Prabhupada Bhagavad Gita. Probably you would have a copy of Bhagavad Gita or else. Where do you live?
Delhi.
Oh, Delhi. We have such a beautiful temples there. And I'm pretty sure there would be some forum of association around. You got some basic knowledge now. Associate with them, or else you have Mother Dipasha as a host for the program. Stay in touch. Your Krishna conscious life will begin. What else? Okay. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Vanna Mataji, you can. You are on unmute. You can ask.
Yeah.
Vanna ji, yeah, please.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I wanted to know, in Jains we don't do shraddhs. So in that case, the soul will, if it is not liberated, become a ghost or something like that, then that soul does not get a chance to go back. I mean, that shraddh is not performed, and the even asthiyan bahate nahi hai. We don't even take the asthiyas from the cremation ground. So do you have any idea on this?
So see, similarly, if you look at Abrahamic traditions, they have a different process of cremation, or the final rites. In the Hindi session, somebody asked me a question about Abrahamic faith. So like in Abrahamic faith, for example, Christianity, Jesus is a son of God, as they say. Now, if Jesus Christ have established a certain procedure, certain process, or given certain instructions about final rites, then the laws of the nature would tweak around, because it's the word of a pure devotee or the direct son of the Lord. In that sense, getting the point, then these adjustments are allowed to be made. As far as Vedic scriptures, it is very clear of how the final rites to be performed. The importance of giving asthi, the remains of the dead body to the sacred river, which purifies, because Ganges, Yamuna, Narmada, Saraswati are all sacred rivers. Coming back to your subject matter of Shraddha, Shraddha does not liberate necessarily. Shraddha refers to our Pitras, ancestors living in a planet called Pitralok, which is considered to be heavenly planet. So the 1 day of Pitralok is equivalent to 6 months on the earthly planet. So that's the reason once in a year you do Shraddha, which means once in a day you feed them. So how do you feed Shraddha? How do you do? Either feed Brahmanas or either feed it to the crows. There are different processes given like that, And through that, the Pitras accept the food, which nourishes them in their next life wherever they are. That's the whole concept about it. So when our Pitras and ancestors are satisfied, they bless us. Otherwise, they come back to haunt and trouble. That's another subject matter happens. Of course, it doesn't happen for everyone. See, you have to understand there are a lot of terms and conditions and rules and regulations. Not everything is straightforward, like black and white. There are many conditions that flows in between. So now those who are practicing Krishna conscious culture or direct God conscious culture, they don't have to go through all these processes, all the steps. Of course, it is good when they do it, but ultimately, by the practice of one's spiritual life, in the case of Prahlad Maharaj, Narasimhadev promises to Prahlad Maharaj, hey Prahlad, because you have become a pure devotee of the Lord, because that your 21 generations would be delivered. So now for whom would you do Shah, the ceremony that everyone got back to Godhead? So that's the point here. So as far as I understand about Jainism, I don't think so. Do they believe in the concept of reincarnation also? No. There's the idea of Shunyavadi, isn't it? Is she still there, Dipasha? Whoever asked me the question.
Prabhuji, she's online.
No, she said she can't unmute. She has got muted. You have to
Yeah,
unmute.
she got unmuted. Muted. Mataji, you can, yeah,
Yeah.
please, sorry.
Prabhuji, what was the question? I just got a little confused.
I said in Jainism or Jain tradition, do they have a clear understanding of soul, or do they have I believe, as far as I know of, they have an idea at the end of life, it's all, they merge into Brahman or some Shunya they talk about?
So the reason that I have known that they don't do Shraddha is there's no attachment. You don't keep more in your whole process of your life, and after that there's no more. They don't do. So it's on that's the reason that I have been told that we don't do Shraddha.
Yeah, I mean, see, Jainism started with Rishabdev. Now, Rishabdev, which is one of the Tirthankars in Jainism, established a path of yoga which is called as extreme renunciation. And I mean, it's amazing. Even modern day Jains, many of them, they perform great extent of austerities, which regularly would be very difficult to do in that sense. But my question to you here was, what is the philosophy of the end of life? Is it there is one lifetime, or there is a concept of reincarnation again?
No, there is concept of reincarnation.
Okay, concept of reincarnation. And what is the goal of human form of life?
Is to attain nirvana.
Moksha, nirvana, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's talked about nirvana. Rishabdev like that. Okay, fine.
I don't know much more about it.
Okay, all right. Or whatever I little knew because some of my friends are Jain, so I could speak something on that. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. So today I think you spoke on a breadth of and in depth on various issues on reincarnation and even related aspects, ghost and the life beyond Earth and other planets. So far, now we don't have any questions. We have some raised hands from kids, so maybe we'll take them tomorrow.
Kids, you can message me separately, all right? And fine, if some questions are remaining, they can send it to you. You can send it to me as time permits me tomorrow. I'll reply. Thank you all. Have a wonderful evening. Hopefully, none of you would have scary dreams. I didn't spoke any of those subject matters. Have a blissful dream or blissful sleep. Krishna willing, we'll meet tomorrow for another topic. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Thank you, everyone.